The fluorescent lights hum overhead, a constant reminder of my tension as I sit at my desk, staring at the blinking cursor on my screen. My report is overdue, and the knot in my stomach tightens with the thought of my boss's disappointment looming over me like a storm cloud. An all-too-familiar wave of inadequacy washes over me, pulling me into that familiar abyss of self-doubt I've known for years. In an instant, I'm transported back to my childhood home, standing before my mother, whose critical gaze is a painful echo in my mind. "It's never good enough, is it, Isabella?" Her voice cuts through me sharper than any knife. I shake my head, trying to shake off the memory, but it lingers, haunting my thoughts, an old but well-worn coat I can't seem to remove. I recall the countless times I presented my achievements, always yearning for that elusive nod of approval, a brief moment where I might feel valued. Instead, I was met with disappointment, her criticism, drowning out any praise that was ever given. Crushed beneath the weight of impending failure, I can't help but think. In the echo of my mother's voice, I discovered my own. It's a bitter thought, twisting in my gut like a serpent. How can her judgment continue to shape my reality, even at 35? Why do I relentlessly pursue a love that feels wholly conditional, based on my performance? The emptiness inside me feels vast and unending, reverberating with familiar voices that echo my inner turmoil. You'll never be enough. I press my palms against my eyes, stifling the tears that threaten to spill. The truth settles heavily. I've grown accustomed to this cycle of seeking validation from others. Just as I once played the role of the perfect daughter for my mother, I now play the diligent employee, ever cautious and primed for approval at work. Glancing around at my colleagues who seem so relaxed and confident, I feel a pang of envy rise within me. I wonder what it's like to present ideas without that gnawing fear of judgment, to live unburdened by the heavy weight of someone else's expectations. What winds would lift me if I were free from that anchor? Then, in the depths of my anxiety, a flicker of defiance pierces through the despair. What if I could stop this cycle? What if, instead of clinging to the echoes of my mother's voice, I sought to listen for my own? Could I begin to untangle her expectations from my true identity? In this moment of contemplation, the noise of the office fades, leaving space for a thread of hope to unfurl. Perhaps acknowledging these echoes can lead toward transformation rather than continued captivity. The looming deadline reminds me that I am still struggling, but for the first time today, I feel the stirrings of possibility beneath my skin. Today, I may not have all the answers, and I may still flounder under the weight of expectation, but I refuse to let the echoes of my past bind me. This could be the dawn of a new journey, a journey where I learn to transform this pain into power and reclaim my voice from the shadows. The office chatter buzzes around me, but my thoughts drift back to my childhood, where the roots of my pain run deep. It's almost as if the hum of the present is merely a veil, thin enough for me to peel back and reveal the dusty memories that linger beneath. As a child, I was caught in the web of expectations spun by my mother, a web so sticky and extensive that it ensnared my sense of self long before I could comprehend its consequences. I can see it so vividly. The small, sun-drenched kitchen where I used to struggle with my homework. I was no older than 10, elbows resting on the table as I pored over my math problems, squinting at the page. My mother's impatient tapping of fingers on the counter echoed in my ears, a rhythm of anxiety that seemed to pulse with each passing second. "You need to focus, Isabella. You can't afford to be average," she would say, her voice cool and sharp, like the knife she used to chop vegetables. The way she would tilt her head to the side, a slight frown creasing her forehead, made my heart race. Each moment of struggle felt like a glaring spotlight trained solely on me, highlighting every flaw and miscalculation. And when I finally brought home an A, something I had worked tirelessly to achieve, I would hope against hope for a warm embrace or a word of pride. But instead, I'd hear her critical voice rise again. "Why didn't you get a higher grade? A+ is what you should aim for next time." Those words were like daggers, piercing my fragile sense of accomplishment, dressing it in a shroud of inadequacy. I had learned early on that perfection was the only avenue to love, and anything less was met with disappointment. Flashbacks like these swirl through my mind, urging me to explore the roots of my suppressed beliefs. It becomes clear that I've internalized a core conviction. I must be perfect to be loved. Each instance of harsh criticism built upon the last, erecting a fortress of self-doubt that even I struggled to penetrate. As the years passed, this belief crystallized into the very essence of who I believed I had to be. A meticulously crafted persona, polished to reflect what I thought my mother desired. I became the perfect daughter, constantly striving, always vigilant, yet feeling painfully unseen. My younger brother Matthew was the golden child in my mother's eyes, and he basked effortlessly in praise. He excelled in sports and academics, wearing his accomplishments like a crown, while I lingered in the shadows, desperately trying to earn my place in the light. "Why can't you be more like him?" my mother would say, words laced with disappointment that felt like a thick fog, heavy, suffocating. Instead of fostering a loving sibling relationship, it bred envy and resentment between us. I wanted his spotlight, yet I simultaneously wished to support him, trapped in a conflict that made my heart ache. I recall a family outing where I felt particularly invisible. My parents praised Matthew for an achievement he hadn't even worked hard for, and I smiled weakly as they turned to me, expecting me to echo their pride. Instead, I felt the cold grip of bitterness rise within me. The laughter and warm words spilled around me like a cruel joke. I felt like a ghost, present, yet unseen. How many moments like this have I lived? How many times have I sacrificed my authenticity on the altar of their expectations? As I shift in my chair, the weight of these memories settles more heavily upon my shoulders. I can still feel that little girl inside of me, desperate for validation and acknowledgement, always aching for her mother's love. But what of her needs? Did she ever matter? It's no wonder I've felt so lost, so easily swept away in the currents of others' expectations. The wounded child inside yearns for recognition. She needs a voice, a chance to be seen beyond the shadow of perfectionism that has overshadowed her existence. "I am enough," I whisper to myself, experimenting with the words like trying on a new coat. What if I could reclaim that little girl, embrace her wounds, and nurture her spirit? Beneath the layers of self-criticism, guilt, and pain, perhaps I could find a core of strength that had always been there, waiting for me to uncover it. In this moment, as I sit at my desk surrounded by the mundane humdrum of office life, clarity washes over me. I begin to understand that my journey lies not just in breaking free from the echoes of my mother's voice, but in healing the fractured bond with myself. With each recognition of the past, I step closer to recognizing that my worth isn't tied to perfection, but rather to the beauty in my flaws and the stories they hold. This little girl doesn't need to be perfect. She just needs to be loved for who she truly is. This journey has only just begun, but I feel the stirrings of hope. The realization that I might transform this pain into something meaningful fuels my conviction that growth is possible. And somewhere deep inside, I know that to honor my past is to liberate my future. As the days blend into each other, a sense of possibility lingers in the air. After my moment of clarity, I wander into a small local bookstore that I often pass but rarely visit. The scent of old pages and ink welcomes me, providing a comfort I didn't realize I needed. My fingers skim the spines of the books, feeling a thrill of anticipation. Suddenly, a title catches my eye. Man and His Symbols, by Jung. Could the wisdom of this man hold the answers I've been seeking? I settle into a cozy corner and begin to read. Jung's ideas resonate deeply within me, swirling through my thoughts like a thread weaving through fabric. He speaks of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we often deny. The harsh judgments of my mother and the self-imposed pressure to excel. The connection suddenly crystallizes. Her expectations were not just reflections of her views, but projections of my own fears about inadequacy. The shadow I have suppressed for so long is begging for acknowledgement. My heart races as I immerse myself in Jung's words, realizing that the shadow contains not just my fears, but also the strength I've hidden beneath the desire for perfection. The idea of confronting my shadow feels daunting, yet exciting, a chance to reclaim parts of myself that I've left untouched. The old pressure to disallow my flaws makes space for something profound. The recognition that I do not need to bury parts of me in shame, but can instead bring them into the light. Further along in the book, I discover the notion of the persona, the mask we wear to meet societal expectations. I've painstakingly crafted mine, striving to embody the perfect daughter and diligent employee, while my authentic self remains trapped beneath layers of duty. Each role I've played has pushed me further away from the core of who I truly am. Jung encourages readers to look inward. My journey is not just about escaping the burden of my past. It's an invitation to explore myself deeply and to meet the little girl I once was, the one who craved love and acceptance. With renewed clarity, I decide to keep a journal, a dedicated space for reflection. Night after night, I pour my heart onto the pages, wrestling with emotions and memories of childhood pressures, focusing on my mother's criticisms. During one journaling session, I create a dialogue with my younger self asking, "What does it feel like to be you?" As I write, emotions flood my spirit: sadness, anger, but above all, compassion. I can almost hear her voice, soft and desperate, yearning to be heard. I understand her desire for validation and love and feel a profound wave of empathy toward the little girl who always felt unseen. Through these entries, I uncover the core belief that has governed my life. I must be perfect to be loved. Accepting this belief is a crucial step in my healing. Realizing that perfection isn't the goal liberates me. This realization transforms into a powerful revelation. My worth is inherent, not contingent upon approval. As I delve deeper into the principles of Jung's teachings, I embrace the idea of individuation. This concept emphasizes that wholeness is achieved through integrating all parts of the self, the light and the dark. In that moment, I grasp that my mother's critical voice, once so overpowering, need not dictate my worth. Perhaps her fears stemmed from her own unresolved shadows, not my failure as a daughter. In these moments of reflection, I begin to rewrite the narrative of my self-worth. I start viewing my mother's expectations not as chains, but as insights, a window into her fears. This shift in perception frees me from the burden of her demands. I'm learning to extend compassion not only to my younger self, but also toward my mother, recognizing the humanity in her imperfections. As I close Jung's book, a sense of empowerment washes over me. I feel equipped with a new map, guiding me toward self-discovery and healing. The journey ahead is no longer solely focused on breaking free from my past. Instead, it's about embracing all aspects of myself and forging a new identity, one that honors the essence of who I am. I sense a turbulent excitement, knowing that acknowledging my past, including its pains and shadows, is the key to building a future filled with authenticity. This call from Jung is a clarion invitation to self-exploration and redemption. With each new understanding, I take my first steps down this path, ready to confront my past and embrace my true self. The revelations are just the beginning of this unfolding journey, illuminating a road of possibility, a path to wholeness that I am eager to travel. As my journey progresses, I feel an electrifying tension in the air, one that whispers promises of growth on the horizon. Each day becomes an invitation to delve deeper into the self-exploration that Jung's teachings have ignited within me. Armed with my journal and a fierce determination, I prepare to face the shadows I've carried for too long. One evening, as I nestle into my quiet apartment, I sip on chamomile tea, feeling its warmth seep into my being. The moment is serene, yet it carries the weight of potential. With my pen poised, I write, "What part of you are you hiding?" A question that's both daunting and liberating. What follows is a torrent of thoughts and emotions as I confront the hidden aspects of myself, the fears, the guilt, and the self-doubt that have shaped my existence. Almost instantaneously, my perfectionist complex surfaces. In my mind, I witness a scene playing out. I stand in a boardroom prepared to pitch my ideas while my mother's voice echoes harshly, reminding me, "You must be perfect, Isabella. Don't make mistakes. Her words wrap around me, paralyzing me with fear. The suffocating weight of those expectations lingers still, leaving me feeling like I must be flawless to earn love and acceptance. However, as I write, I recognize that the shadow, that hidden part of myself, contains not only my fears, but also the potential for growth. Every harsh judgment I impose reflects the standards I've internalized. Could it be that my imperfections hold the keys to my humanity? As I reflect, I see how I've constructed invisible walls around my authenticity, and I wonder how liberating it would be to let those walls down. With this epiphany comes a profound shift in my inner dialogue. I remind myself that true worth is derived from authenticity, not from perfection. I begin to write, "I am enough," etching this affirmation into my heart. It's a reminder that, while my insecurities may speak loudly, they do not define me. To better confront my shadow, I imagine a safe space in my mind, a sanctuary where I can engage with these hidden aspects. I picture myself standing before my shadow self, steadying my breath as if inviting it to share its story. "Tell me who you are," I softly urge. As it steps forward, I see the parts of me I've long ignored. The uncertainty in my voice, the ache of unmet desires, and the dream of being seen for who I truly am. This interaction proves enlightening. I learn that my shadow is not an enemy, but a complex companion. Each layer of anxiety and self-doubt contains valuable lessons about resilience and self-acceptance. Instead of running away, I sit with my shadow, willing to listen and understand its gifts. As I delve deeper, the anger I felt toward my mother, with the harsh expectations she imposed, rises to the surface. One night I erupt as I write, "You made me feel unworthy." The fury spills out, accompanied by the heaviness of years spent in silence. But amid this release, I also recognize her struggles. She too has navigated her own shadows, projecting her fears onto me. I begin to rewrite this narrative, not out of bitterness, but with compassion. Learning to forgive my mother unfolds a myriad of possibilities. I realize that confronting my anger is not an act of rebellion, but a path toward healing. It's a chance to transform resentment into understanding, where my hurt can be channeled into clarity. This introspective work leads me to uncover an intricate tapestry of connection between my past and present. The distorted views, the weight of others' expectations, they no longer hold me captive. I start envisioning sincere conversations with my mother about my needs and aspirations, armed with newfound confidence. The very practice of facing my shadow becomes a daily ritual. Each journal entry serves as a tool for exploration as I pick through the layers of my experiences with courage. I recognize how often I've sought to please others at the expense of my own emotions, quietly surrendering my voice. With this realization, I acknowledge the strength of vulnerability, embracing it as part of my evolving identity. I no longer wish to present a formulaic facade. I want to show up fully as myself, flaws and all. My imperfections are beautiful, I write. They make me human. As this contemplation unfolds, the notion of individuation illuminates my path. Jung's idea emphasizes that wholeness is achieved by integrating all aspects of the self, paving the way for self-acceptance. It brings forth the understanding that my mother's critical voice need not dictate my worth anymore. Perhaps her projections stemmed from her insecurities, an acknowledgement that opens the door to empathy. As I close this chapter, emotion wells within me, a powerful feeling of empowerment. The insights I've gathered serve as a map, guiding me toward a terrain filled with authenticity and hope. The goal has shifted from merely breaking free of expectations to embracing who I am, including the vulnerable parts. The act of facing my shadow reveals unexpected strength. With each acceptance, each release, I carve a new path that leads to an enriched sense of self. This journey is not singular. It is shared with voices that support me, echoes of those who also grapple with their shadows. As I prepare to communicate my truths, I feel lighter, more resilient. The weight of my past transforms into an opportunity for growth, a chance to reclaim my autonomy and forge a healthier relationship both with myself and my family. With renewed energy, I venture beyond the pages of my journal. Each day becomes a celebration of authenticity, a departure from the perfect image I once sought to preserve. I am allowing the fullness of my identity to blossom, embracing both what is familiar and what is new. In this transformative process, I surface not just as Isabella, the daughter, but as Isabella, an empowered woman keen to live freely and openly, the life that has always awaited me on the other side of fear. Every day feels charged with purpose as I stand on the precipice of a conversation that could reshape my relationship with my mother. I've spent years contorting myself to fit an image of perfection, but now is the moment to assert my true self. Anxiety tingles through my body as I prepare to share my heart with her. Can I voice my feelings without succumbing to the paralyzing fear of her disapproval? In the quiet of my living room, the sunlight spills in, creating patterns of warmth across the floor. I take a deep breath, reminding myself that this is not about blaming my mother, but reclaiming my narrative. The new Isabella, the empowered woman I am, becoming, is determined to advocate for herself. With my journal open before me, I write a list of all the points I want to convey. I aim to express my gratitude for the love I've received, but I also need to articulate how the expectations she imposed felt like a heavy weight. It's crucial for her to understand that her version of love, while rooted in care, often suffocated me in its demand for perfection. As I prepare to leave for my parents' house, excitement and fear swirl in my stomach. The familiar aroma of my mother's cooking wafts through the air as I step inside. My father greets me warmly, wrapping me in his embrace, while I mentally brace myself for my mother's penetrating gaze. "Mom, can we talk?" My voice trembles slightly, but holds firm resolve. She turns, curious, if not a bit apprehensive. "What is it, sweetheart?" Her tone is protective, but there is an undertone of concern. I invite her to sit at the dining table, where countless family meals, blurred together in my memory. Taking my time, I share my appreciation for everything she has done for me. I acknowledge her strength and the push towards excellence, but I need to share how such pressures made me feel inadequate. Sometimes it felt conditional on my achievements, I confess. The silence that follows is palpable, the weight of my words hanging in the air. My mother's expression shifts from surprise to contemplation. "Isabella, I never meant to—" "I know, Mom." I interject gently, striving to keep my tone calm. "But I've struggled under the pressure to be perfect. I just want you to understand how that made me feel." I watch as her demeanor softens, a hint of realization dawning in her eyes. "I thought I was helping you succeed, protecting you from failure." "Maybe you were," I reply, encouragement mingling with vulnerability. "But I learned that love isn't based on perfection. It's about being ourselves. I want us to find a way forward, together, a relationship where I feel free to be who I truly am." The silence stretches as my mother sits with my words. I offer her space, allowing her time to absorb everything. The room feels thick with emotion, but I hold my ground, determined to let my truth resonate. Finally, she exhales a shaky breath. "I'm sorry. I didn't know my expectations were weighing you down." Tears well in her eyes, and I feel a wave of empathy wash over me. "That's what I hoped to share, Mom," I continue. "I want to understand you better too. I want us to heal." By offering this truth, I feel the chains I've worn for so long beginning to loosen. The barriers we've erected are starting to crumble. As our conversation unfolds, we share not just our differences, but our vulnerabilities, the fears that have shaped our lives and defined our relationship with one another. The evening wraps us in warmth, where stories of our insecurities unveil our humanity. Conversations between us transform from echoes of past disappointments into shared experiences. I witness my mother, once a figure of infallibility, becoming a woman grappling with her own shadows. Every word exchange signifies not just a dialogue, but a chance for reconciliation and growth. My heart expands as I realize we are both striving for connection in our own imperfect ways. As I leave my parents' house that night, a sense of liberation rushes through me. I've shed not just the weight of perfection, but also the burden of silence. The relationship with my mother has shifted into a space of honesty and understanding. For both of us, this is a new chapter, one where expectations give way to acceptance. Upon returning home, I take out my journal and pour out my reflections on the evening. Today was a turning point, I write. I stood up for my truth, opened a door to healing, and in doing so, I found strength in vulnerability. With each entry, I grasp that this journey is about more than just me. I'm not alone in my struggles. My mother's encounter with her shadows mirrors my own. We are both on this path together, navigating a love that allows for both imperfection and authenticity. I resolve that I will no longer seek validation outside myself. I will embrace my journey and define it on my own terms. My worth is not up for negotiation. I will nurture my identity and commit to living authentically. I am enough just as I am, I write, feeling empowered by the affirmation. The past may shape me, but it will not define who I am. I will celebrate every facet of my identity and all the lessons learned along the way. Emboldened by this experience, I am ready to embrace my evolving identity fully. I take a moment to breathe deeply, feeling the surge of excitement flood my body as I look forward to the future and all the possibilities it holds. The journey of transformation is far from over, but it no longer feels daunting. I realize now that this path to self-discovery is laced with love and connectedness, not only to myself, but to those who have shared my journey. In this space of authenticity, I find strength and purpose, the very essence of who I am. With each passing day, I welcome the beautiful messiness of life, knowing that I am not merely Isabella the perfect daughter, but Isabella the empowered woman ready to embrace her truth, flaws, and all. The journey that continues to unfold is a testament to my resilience, a declaration of my evolution towards a life that embraces everything I am meant to be. As the weeks progress following my conversation with my mother, I experience a notable shift within myself. Each day holds the promise of freedom, inviting me to embrace my true identity, unencumbered by expectation. The realization that my worth is inherent, not contingent upon perfection, invigorates me like a refreshing spring breeze. Returning to work becomes a transformative experience. With the sun streaming through the office windows, I feel hopeful and empowered. I cultivate a newfound confidence, determined to express my thoughts freely. The pressure I once placed on myself to avoid mistakes begins to dissipate. Instead, I acknowledge that vulnerability can be a source of strength. During a team meeting, I seize an opportunity to share my ideas on our upcoming marketing campaign. What if we focus on creating a more emotional connection with our audience? I suggest, my voice steady and clear. My heart races, but I feel the reassuring whisper of my affirmation. I am enough, just as I am. To my surprise, my colleagues lean in, engaged by my perspective. The conversation flows as we brainstorm ideas, collaborating in a way I had rarely experienced before. Witnessing my voice echo in the room fills me with exhilaration. In that moment, I understand how authenticity can ignite creativity. A simple change in my mindset opens doors for others, encouraging them to share their own truths. My journey of authenticity extends beyond the office. Each interaction becomes a chance to practice vulnerability. I actively share my feelings with friends, allowing myself to show the complete version of Isabella, the imperfect woman unafraid to embrace her humanity. One evening, I host a gathering of close friends. As we sit around the table, laughter fills the air, accompanied by the warmth of shared companionship. I feel compelled to share my recent awakening. You all know I've struggled with the need to be perfect for so long, I say, my heart pounding slightly with anticipation. But I've learned that it's okay to be flawed. Embracing our imperfections makes us more connected. Silence envelops the room briefly, and then one by one, my friends begin to share their own insecurities. Our discussion thrives on open-heartedness. We laugh, cry, and in that tender moment, I see how our willingness to be vulnerable creates a deeper bond. It's a reminder that we all carry scars, yet they don't define us. After the gathering, a sense of fulfillment washes over me. I've planted seeds of authenticity in the relationships around me, nurturing connections that allow for shared experiences. I know then that practicing vulnerability leads to freedom, not just for me, but for others too. The transformation continues with my relationship with my mother. Our conversations over the following weeks blossom into spaces filled with empathy and openness. During another coffee date, I invite her into a deeper discussion about our feelings. I want us to support each other as we embrace our true selves, I express. We talk openly about our fears, mistakes, and how our perceptions of love have shaped us. Exploring our vulnerabilities together has become an incredible balm for our relationship. I witness the gradual breakdown of barriers as we share not just our stories, but our evolving understanding of love itself. With my father watching from the sidelines, I find the courage to speak about how my childhood shaped my relationships and my belief system. I remind them that as we navigate this journey together, understanding and compassion can transcend the past. While the dialogues around the family dining table transform into healing conversations, I also prioritize cultivating my independence. Setting boundaries becomes fundamental in all areas of my life, not just with my family, but in every relationship. I actively choose to say no when necessary, prioritizing my needs without guilt. Little by little, I reclaim space for myself, space for art, for nature walks, and for quiet evenings with a good book. I embrace the messiness of life, learning that true fulfillment comes from the ability to celebrate both joyous and imperfect moments. Through it all, I rely on my journaling, capturing the intricacies of my transformation. Each night is a reflection as I pen down my thoughts. Every day is a gift, a chance to embrace my true self, I write, cherishing the moments of clarity I've found. My journal becomes a testament to my journey, documenting the highs and the lows, the victories and the vulnerabilities, bringing a sense of structure to my unfolding story. The culmination of personal growth leads me to enroll in a workshop on emotional resilience. Standing before a small group, I share my journey, speaking out about my struggle for validation and the awakening of my authentic self. With each word I utter, I feel the power of vulnerability resonate with others. After the workshop, I realize I've not only shared my story, but inspired others to reflect on their journeys as well. The energy in the room is palpable, and I find joy in seeing how my experiences resonate with those around me. This shift from self-doubt to empowerment fuels my spirit. Upon returning home, I feel exhilarated. I've embraced my voice, welcomed the challenges of authenticity, and stepped into a space of newfound freedom. The road ahead is filled with opportunities to continue nurturing the relationships I cherish, along with the ones I have yet to forge. With every passing day, I recognize the importance of not merely existing, but thriving authentically. I embrace my imperfections as aspects of myself worthy of love and acceptance. I am no longer just Isabella the perfect daughter. I am Isabella, a resilient woman ready to embrace her truth. Each morning, I open my heart to the world, eager to navigate the journey of authenticity with grace. I feel grateful for the lessons learned, each one intertwined in the fabric of who I am. As I step confidently into the future, I carry with me the realization that my story is still being written, an ever-evolving tapestry of courage, connection, and growth. As the weeks unfold, I feel profound changes taking root in my life. The journey towards authenticity is not just an inward exploration. It radiates outward, transforming how I connect with the world. Lightness fills my days as I embrace my true identity, unencumbered by the demands of perfection. Returning to my parents' home has become a source of joy rather than anxiety. Our conversations deepen, evolving into genuine dialogues filled with hopes and fears. While cooking together one evening, I look at my mother and say, "I appreciate how we can talk freely now. It feels so good to support each other." Her warm smile reflects mutual understanding, validating our connection. At work, I find that my newfound authenticity enhances my creativity. One day in a meeting, I boldly propose a marketing strategy centered around emotional connection. What if we talk to our audience about their stories instead of just focusing on sales figures? My heart races, but the confidence I derived from embracing my vulnerability carries me through. To my delight, my colleagues respond positively, and together we collaboratively brainstorm a compelling campaign. This practice of vulnerability goes beyond professional life. I cultivate my friendships, infusing them with a spirit of openness. During intimate dinners, I invite my friends to share their own stories, struggles with self-image, and the drive for acceptance. As I voice my own experiences of imperfection, I see their faces light up with recognition, and it becomes clear that we are not alone in our struggles. As I maintain these relationships, I notice patterns emerge. I witness how authenticity fosters deeper connections, creating a support network where we celebrate our successes and comfort one another in moments of doubt. Together, we're transforming our friendships into something beautiful, an interconnected web of understanding. I also prioritize my relationship with my mother. Our coffee dates become opportunities for genuine dialogue. I want us to continue building our connection, I express, grateful for the growth we've achieved. She shares her vulnerabilities, allowing me to see her humanity, and I feel our bond strengthen as we deepen our understanding of each other. In this transformative space, my habit of journaling remains essential. Each day is a gift to embrace my authentic self, I write at the end of each day. My journal documents the highs and lows of this journey, a testament to my progress as I become increasingly comfortable with my identity. I enroll in workshops that focus on emotional resilience, where I share my story with others, illustrating how I have moved past the need for external validation. With every word I speak, I feel the powerful shift within the room as vulnerability sparks connection. After one workshop, I notice the energy crackling among the participants. Their eyes glimmer with a shared understanding. Returning home after that, empowering experience fills me with exhilaration. I realize that I have embraced my voice, stepping boldly into my truth. The path ahead is bright and filled with opportunities to forge new connections and deepen existing ones. I now recognize that life isn't just about existing, it's about thriving authentically. I embrace my imperfections as core aspects of who I am, deserving of love and acceptance. No longer am I merely Isabella, the perfect daughter. I am Isabella, a resilient woman committed to authenticity. Every morning, I wake with an eagerness to navigate my journey while looking forward to what lies ahead. I feel grateful for all the lessons, both joyful and painful, that have intertwined to shape the fabric of my identity. As I step confidently into the future, I understand that my story is still unfolding, an ever-evolving tapestry woven from threads of courage and connection. With each passing day, I embrace the vibrant journey of flourishing in my authentic self, eager to witness the impact of my transformation on those around me. This chapter is not merely a conclusion, but a beautiful beginning. I carry the realization that my journey is a legacy of healing, not just for myself, but for others. I am Isabella, ready to fully embrace my truth and explore the infinite possibilities that lie ahead.